Okay. All right, guys. Listen, I'm Mr. Video now, or starting to head in the direction of being Mr. Video. So I thought I'd record this message in addition to the email that I'm sending out in a second, where I'll link to this video, just to make there's sort of a personal touch about it. So I'm switching things up for this week, just a little bit. As I mentioned, we'll be meeting over Zoom at our regular times. We'll discuss the readings on Friday, and on Thursday we're gonna have a special guest, Professor Charlie Nesson of Harvard Law School, who I think I mentioned in an earlier email, and I kind of wanted to contextualize that just a little bit. Charlie Nesson is, a figure I've just had the privilege, kind of randomly, of being intersecting with at various points over the years. He's a legendary figure at Harvard Law School. And legendary in sort of a unique way. He's particularly famous for really being one of the founders of internet and law discussions. He founded the Berkman Klein Center at Harvard, which is amazing. It's worth Googling that, going to that site and checking out the work that they do. And just his willingness to embrace new ideas, fringe ideas, his willingness to work at a level of kind of uncertainty and unknown, and to go places where people often are unwilling to go. The famous one is one of his proteges was Larry Lessig, who's a pretty famous internet law professor, who actually I have his book here. Larry Lessig wrote probably the most sort of the first serious book on internet law, cyberspace law, and he dedicates it to Nesson. For Charlie Nesson, whose every idea seems crazy, for about a year. So that's sort of what he's known for. He's just known for being a really visionary thinker. Now, that means he's often occupied with kind of crazy ideas, and he's getting older. He's been retired for, I think, a couple of decades now. And I've brought him in every year for my human rights class, and it's one of the classes that people really seem to appreciate the most. Okay, so the message is really just to try to hang in there, if that makes sense. I'll probably be sending you weird little bits and pieces that he'll send me, little note files and stuff like that as we head into Thursday's class. Just ideas and things like that. Every year we do something completely different than the year before. This year, apparently, it's going to be on the Confrontation Clause of the Constitution. I don't really know why. I push him to sort of talk about human rights to some extent, and he usually does a little bit, but not entirely. And it's not going to be a crazy experience, but I do find it's helpful to just a frame to say, if you're kind of feeling dubious, I would encourage you to lean in, because people, in past, people have kind of leaned in with him and his work. It sticks with you, even if it doesn't right at the class. A lot of times it may, some of this stuff may stick with you. He's really into identity issues as well, and we're going to be using the academic space and understanding how technology has infected the academic space, identity politics, and how technology can be used to protect the original institution, the original vision of the academic space. And so part of what we're going to do, and you'll get an email about this, is he has a proprietary anonymous texting platform that he's been developing with MIT, so far as I understand it, called Threads. And what you'll do is you pull that up in addition to the Zoom as a separate window. And it'll allow parallel anonymous texting to occur alongside the Zoom conference. Okay, and there's a lot of, I think there's, usually the conversation intersects with, a lot of it's very recursive. It's about like what we're thinking, why we're thinking, where we're coming from with what we're thinking, all sorts of stuff like that. So it's a great class. It's usually, and so I'm pretty protective about Charlie Nesson, but I'm excited to share him with you. And that's the message. We'll do that class starting at 11 regular class time on Thursday. We'll do it by Zoom, and then I'll record my lecture on Friday, and anybody can join and ask questions per the email I sent around. All right, hope everyone is doing well, and I will see you online soon enough. Cheers.